Hello, and welcome to the Little House Knits podcast. My name is Michelle, also known as Scully B on Ravelry. I am also MickTuck76 on Instagram if you are interested in following me there. It's been a while. If you are a returning viewer, it is lovely to see you again, and thank you for coming back. If you're new, welcome. This is sort of new for everybody now. If you are a returning viewer, you may be aware that it has been it's been 4 years since the last time I recorded. I apologize for such a long absence. Things have been sort of, well, not now. Things were a little for a while, so I just sort of fell out of the groove of things and all of that. So it is wonderful to be back. I have missed this very much. I'm hoping there's still people out there who are interested in listening to me talk. We'll see how this goes. I don't know of anyone who has come back from such a long absence. If you know of somebody, please let me know, because I would be really interested in just sort of seeing how someone else handles that, because they probably handle it better than I could. But that being said, I figured I would just jump right in, addressing the elephant in the room, which is the long absence. So, when I had originally started the podcast, I was working second shift at our local hospital. I worked from about 5 to 11 every night, which was great hours. I think of myself as a night person. So it was really nice to have those hours, be able to be home with my kids when they needed me. Summer vacations, we didn't have to worry about it. Not that we have to anyway, because my husband was a teacher at the time. But unfortunately, my husband had lost his job. He was out of work for about 2 years. The school that he was in eliminated the grade that he was teaching. So you can't go to work if there's no classroom for you. So that being said, things got stressful, money got tight. Just, I was working all kinds of crazy hours just to sort of pick things up, which was draining. But you do what you have to do when the push comes to shove. So, one of the things that I did was start working third shift, which, like I say, I think I'm a night person, but all night is a lot, and it's taxing on the body and on the mind. And while I have suffered with depression, it got much worse when I was working third shift. So I did that for about a year, and I am a day person now. I have switched to a different job for a different medical group. So that's been great. I'm happy to say that my husband is working. He is a teacher again, and he's very happy. And I now have teenagers. That's a little depressing in its own. I feel so old, but I guess that's comes with the territory of having children. They get to the ages where you remember, and like, oh, I remember when I was 15 and 16 and what that was like. And you're like, ugh, how long ago was that? Too long ago. But anyway, so needless to say, I was sort of down and I was in a rut, and depression is it's just a jerk. It's just a big jerky jerk. And I wasn't really knitting much, not in any sort of, oh my goodness, sort of meaningful way. I was sort of doing it just to occupy myself, but not really enjoying it the way I always have, the way I do now. It was hard, and I wasn't really watching podcasts. I wasn't on Ravelry that much. I just wasn't interacting with creaky chair. Sorry, I just wasn't interacting with this community that I love. I tend to be a very shy person, but I really do like to be around knitters and be in that community, even though I love people, but they scare me, so I tend to stay away. So I don't know. So that was that. And so slowly but surely I just started watching podcasts again. One day you know, and I just realized that I just missed everything about it. I missed hearing what other people were working on. I loved seeing the things that other people were interested in, and yarn, and because who gets sick of yarn? No one gets sick of yarn. No one. So I started thinking, should I podcast again? And I started trying to post some things on my blog, and I was like, it's just I get nervous, and I have perfectionist tendencies. I'm not perfect in the least, but I feel like it's not right. This isn't right. No one wants to hear this. Blah blah blah. But needless to say, I have been knitting. I have been loving it. I feel like I'm sort of getting myself back, and it's great. Um, it's really great. That's the best way I can put it. So things have been good. I originally wanted to, I had planned on starting to podcast again January 1st. I'm sort of a clean slate person. I like to start on the 1st of the month or the week or whatever it is. I don't know. It's weird. But that's how I am. So I was planning on that. And then, just a few days before Christmas, um, I had gone to a doctor's appointment with my husband, and they said he had a routine eye exam in October, and they said, "Oh, you have this funny little cyst." And the way they described it, it was something that normally found in children. You know, we looked it up because, I know you shouldn't Google your symptoms, but I did. Anyway, so it turned out it wasn't anything bad. They're just, it's routine. Lots of kids get it. I said, aren't you lucky? You have the eyes of a child, apparently. So we went to this, specialist visit just to sort of get everything's fine. Don't worry about it. Diagnosis. And then they said the word tumor, and it felt like all of my innards became outards. Everything just dropped. And it was really hard right before Christmas to get that sort of information. And my husband did not want to say anything to his family right away. So it was really hard to go through Christmas and New Year's with the family and not be able to say anything and not be able to sort of express that to anybody. So we found out after another specialist visit that he had what's called ocular melanoma, which is cancer of the eye, which I didn't know that was a thing at all. I don't know why it would surprise me, but it did. And just so you know, it's not like melanoma of the skin. Everyone asks, like, oh, is it because you don't wear sunglasses a lot? Is it because you're out in the sun too much? The doctor that we ended up seeing in Boston is, she's like the go-to woman for this particular condition. I guess people from all over the world come to see her. So I guess if you have to see someone, that's who you want to see. So just so you know, because a lot of people got freaked out when we told them that you don't necessarily get it the same way you get melanoma of your skin. So we found out that he's lucky. It was, normally it grows backwards. His was growing forward. Normally it can spread to like your lungs and your liver, I think. It's weird that it would go from your eye to your abdomen, but, they did scans. Right now it's not showing that it's spread anywhere, so that was amazing. And stop that. It's silly. Everything's good. Don't cry. So so he did have to undergo some treatment. So I did have to take some time out of work to take him to his appointments because they have to dilate his eyes, and it's unfortunately for him, every day that we had to go for his treatment and they dilated his eyes were super sunny days. So it was hard for him to do that. But, so where am I going here? The reason that I could not start this in January was because of that. But fortunately, right now, knock on wood, everything looks okay. As with, I think, any cancer, they have to keep an eye on him. They'll keep an eye on him for every 6 months, I think, for 5 years. Um, I'm also telling you this because I was originally supposed to go to the ZK retreat in Minnesota in June, which I was really looking forward to. But because I took the time off to take my husband for his treatments, which I wanted to be there for, and he wanted me there for, and how could I say no to that? I had to give up my spot. So I think I had mentioned, I was in the group forums, I had mentioned that I was going. So unfortunately, I will not be there. But really, I'm not going to be there for pretty great reasons. So I'm not going to be there because I still have my husband and my kids still have their dad, and that is fantastic. So I'm not going to complain about that at all. So that was January, and then I was like, oh, forget it. It's just over. It's done. I can't do it. I'm not going to do it. But I figured today is June 1st, which is actually my birthday. So technically, it's like New Year's Day all over again. So I decided to start today. Yeah, so that's it. And I even got to today. I was like all set. Like, I'm going to record on Saturday. This is going to be it. I'm going to start. And I woke up this morning and I was like, no, I don't think I can do that. So the husband said, I have to do this. He said, I can tell when you talk about it, you really want to do it. And so you have to do this. You have to do it. You have to just see. So you can thank him for that. So, yeah, so that's what's been happening. Like I said, everything is really great right now. Husband's good. Kids are good. As far as I know, I'm good. Take it as it comes. So yeah, that's it. So I had planned, I don't have any notes. I really should have notes, but in January, I had been having all kinds of, in December really, I had been having all kinds of thoughts about what would I want to talk about and what would I want to say and what, where am I going here? So I figured I would just sort of pretend it's January, even though it's June, and just sort of go from here. So my goal is, I had goals this year. I'm feeling overwhelmed by my stash. I'm feeling overwhelmed by just the amount of stuff. Yeah, stuff overwhelms me. I am not a hoarder. I am a purger. But I can't, it's yarn. I can't just buy yarn. No, can't do that. So I wanted to sort of get myself organized, and I was so excited because Megan and Amy, the Stockinette Zombies, were having a goal along, and I was like, this is great. This is going to help me. I can totally do this. And while I have been getting myself organized and sort of following through on my goals, I am horrible with, I've never been a big picture taker. So with the goal along, you're supposed to be taking pictures of your progress, and I'm just, sorry, I suck at that. So I haven't really been posting, but I have been getting things done. So I figured I would just sort of, I don't know, go with that. I have a bunch of whips I wanted to get just done. And looking at all my whips, I have my list over here. I don't have that many. I actually have finished a bunch of them. I realized that a few that I have are just blanket projects that are sort of always going to be ongoing. So I decided to forgive myself for that. I wanted to organize my stash, sort of cull and, see what I could do. I know that there are some de-stash groups on Ravelry, and I have looked into them, but I haven't really posted anything yet. there's a place, I live in a town called Dracut. The city right next door is called Lowell. There is a place in Lowell that is really cool. It's Lowell was a mill city. Lots of mills still left there. And there's a place there called Mill Number 5, and it's almost like a real life Diagon Alley if you're a Harry Potter fan, because it just looks like these mill buildings. Um, and one of them, when you walk into it, there's one particular floor that's like this. You go to that floor, and it's like a city street inside the building. It's awesome, and I love it. And they have on the floor above that every weekend, I think it is, they have sort of like a craft fair type thing, and it's never like normal stuff. It's always sort of like there is some normal stuff, but there's it's always different, and it's usually themed. And the person who runs that decided that they were going to have a crafter's D-stash. And so I signed up to do that, thinking this will be a great way to start. I wanted to get rid of some yarn and some needles, and I'm trying to consolidate my needles and get everything, almost like, they say you should have a bug out bag if the apocalypse comes. I want to be able to fit all my knitting stuff in like a backpack if I need to, because those are really the important essentials. So we signed up to do that. My husband wanted to do that with me. He's a flea market guy, so he has a lot of stuff, and he was doing that. And I don't know that they advertised it that well. So out of all the yarn I brought, I sold one skein of yarn, and I think I sold like 3 or 4 needles. What are you gonna do? So that's that. But I got my stash organized, and I have a pool to draw from if I want to de-stash, and that's great. I had some projects I wanted to work on for other people and things that I wanted to get done. So I feel like I'm sort of rambling. I apologize. So let's see. One of the things that I really wanted to get done was a pair of socks for my cousin's wife. We had been talking about the socks that I had knit. Last year I had a goal to knit a pair of socks a month because I had never done that. So it was super awesome to have that sort of plan in place. So I always knew what was next when I finished something, and I could still work on other things at the same time. So we had been talking about socks, and she was, I love socks, and she brought this dish to a family get together, and I don't know what it's called. She called it corn crack, and yeah, that's the best way to describe it. I don't know. I thought it was mac and cheese, but it's some type of corn dish. And I said, if I make you a pair of socks, will you make me a dish of that? And she said she would. But now I'm thinking that's way too much for one person. I just really need a bowl like that big. That's it. That's all I need. But it turns out she is now expecting with her first baby, and that's really exciting. So I had decided to make her a pair of socks, and I just went with the Hermione's Everyday Sock. And this is Hilltop hand spun. There was no colorway listed on the band, so it just makes me think of mermaids. I love it. So yeah, this is great. Hilltop Handspun. I love her stuff. There's a shop in Maine that has a fiber event every April, and this is really the only time that I can get her stuff. I know she sells online, but and I know that you can make an appointment to actually go to her house in Maine, but I think it's about 3 hours away, and I feel like if I'm going to drive up there for 3 hours, I feel like I'd clean the place out. So it's probably better that I only see her once a year. But so I did this, and I think this is beautiful. But I wanted to do something for the baby as well. So, well, actually, wait, let me see. You got to see this little one. So I don't know if I said it. This is the Hermione's Everyday Sock pattern. So I did that, and basically, I mean, it's a 64 stitch pattern. I just got this in half. So this is 32. And it's so cute. I always like to knit baby socks because I just remember when my oldest was born, we brought him home, and for some reason, we didn't have socks for him. Like, no one had given us socks, and I didn't think to buy baby socks, and we got him home, and I was like, his feet are so cold. So now baby socks are always my go-to gift because his feet are so tiny. You don't want them cold. And then because I was already knitting a baby gift for her, I decided, they don't know what they're having as far as I'm aware. I decided a sweater. So I just went with the, oh my God, holy bananas. I know this. You're saying it. I know you're saying it. Flax light. Thank you. So this is just the flax light out of some Knit Picks Stroll Fingering Weight. This is the Dove Heather colorway. So it's just a nice light little sweater. And honestly, I sort of did this too to find out. I didn't do gauge on this. I just always knitted a size bigger than I think it's going to be on a needle that I like, and we'll see. So I really kind of wanted to see what my gauge was because this is my year. I'm knitting myself a sweater this year. I've been knitting for 10 years this year. I don't have any sweaters. I don't have any tops for myself. I keep saying I'm going to do it. I don't. So this is it. This is the year. So I think closer to the end of the year, like in the fall, I might make myself something maybe for Thanksgiving or for Christmas or whatever. So that's where I'm at on that. So those are my most recent finished objects. I do have, this was my other thing with the whole goal along, was I was like, I really want to put squares on my my sock yarn blanket, and I didn't think, hey, you should take a picture of it before you start adding squares, because, why would you do that? So this is currently one of my sock yarn blankets, and it's getting big, and I'm really happy. So, yeah, so this is great. So, and this actually made me realize, and I think this is why I really started going through my yarn. My husband had gotten me an advent calendar for Christmas, or for December, we'll say. And I realized that I have all these single skeins of yarn that I'm probably never going to knit up, and really all I need is just this. I just need like 10 grams of a skein of yarn. I don't need a whole thing. I just want the pretty so that I can display it somewhere. That's really what it is. That's what gets us, is the pretty. I want that pretty. So I'm working on it. We'll see. But yeah, so that's that. Those are my biggest finished things. I started just a little, I don't know. I'm going crazy here. I have so much extra yarn. I have a ton of cotton. I don't know why I have so much cotton yarn. I'm really not a big fan of cotton yarn. So I have rainbow colors, really. So I decided to make myself a blanket, a small blanket, just to, I don't know, it's really ridiculous. I don't, it's summer. When it gets to be summer and it's really hot at night, you don't want blankets on you, but sometimes I just like a little something, so I decided to basically make a baby blanket for myself so that I just have a little something in the summer. So here we go. I started this today. I figured it's June, it's Pride Month, so this will be a great time to knit a rainbow, because I do love rainbows. So, oh my goodness, are you keeping up? I don't know where I am. I don't know. I feel like I had a direction I was going in, but I don't know. All right, so that's what I finished. That's what I'm currently working on. I got a little ridiculous. A bunch of years ago, I want to say like 5 years ago, I decided I was going to start spinning. And I did try. I couldn't really find a class that was convenient close to me. So I was trying to do it from YouTube, which I know you can do. I mean, I've learned plenty of things from YouTube, but for some reason, spinning just felt meh. And I was just having trouble. So I kind of just was like, we're not going to think about that right now. But when I was doing the D-stash at the mill, a girl had told me about this e-spinner that she had pre-ordered and how it was tiny, and because when I had thought about spinning before and I had talked to my husband, he's like, where are we going to put a wheel in this house? I'm like, if we can fit all your stuff in this house, we can find a place for a wheel for me. But a wheel is a huge investment, and whatever. So I looked into the spinner, and I'm sure you're probably already familiar with it. It's the electric eel, and they have a new version. So I don't know what I was thinking, but I was like, oh, it's $100. I'm just gonna do it. And I had some money set aside for myself anyway, so tax money. I get a little bit of that. I worked for it. So I decided I was going to buy myself a spinner. And then I was like, you should probably learn something about spinning. Maybe. So, excuse me while I lean. So I went to a local yarn store last week. The Yarn and Fiber Company. It's in Derry, New Hampshire. I am pretty much on the New Hampshire border. I went up there and I had a sit down with Cindy, who I believe is the shop owner, and I picked out this lovely, look at that braid. Beautiful. This is her brand, Bewitching Fibers. This is merino combed top, 100% merino combed top, 115 grams in the Berry Delight colorway. I love it, and I just want to smush it all over my face because it's good, but then I get the hairs in my mouth, and that's not good. So I won't smush it that much. So I spent a good while at her shop, just chatting, that's the word, with her and her husband and another girl that works at the shop, and I made yarn. I mean, it's probably not a great yarn, but I made it. So I've decided, since it's my birthday weekend, I don't have to go grocery shopping. So someone else can do that tomorrow, and I will sit on my porch and I will spin. So I like it. I'm trying to overcome that perfectionist tendency that I have, because I'm not perfect. So why am I striving to be perfect? I gotta just let that go. So that's that. Oh my goodness. So yeah, I feel like there is more I want to say, more I want to talk about, but I feel like I'm just not organized enough right now to really say anything. So I just really wanted to say hi. I wanted to just let you know that everything was crappy, but now everything is hopefully on the upswing. I really missed talking to you. I don't know. I don't know. There are people I wish I could thank, podcast-wise, like Megan and Amy of the Stockinette Zombies, and Amy Beth of the Fat Squirrel Speaks, and the Grocery Girls, and they just sort of look at me. Who gets emotional? Calm down. It was like being thrown a lifeline. Just that I'm just going to watch a podcast and just see. And it was just like being pulled right back in. It was so great. And it meant so much. And I'm just going to leave it there because I don't know what this is. So, so if you see them at ZK, please tell them. And Amber, the yarn hoarder. So if you see them, just let them know that they are lifelines. And I really appreciate them, because I feel kind of cheesy sending it. It's so stupid. I should just say thank you, but I get all nervous. Um, Here's my silly thing. I went to Rhinebeck last year. No, 2017. We went. It was our 20th anniversary, so we decided we'd rent a little place and we'd go to Rhinebeck and we'd spend the weekend and blah, blah, blah. And at one point, I was sitting, just knitting. I was waiting for my husband. Um, and I had turned and I saw a man coming towards me, and I looked and I was like, oh my God. I was like, podcast names just pop into your head. People's real names sometimes don't pop into my head. I said, oh my God, Sock Petition. And I got so excited. I was like a deer in headlights. I just sort of froze and I just watched. And I was like, you should say something. You should say hello. You should say thank you for an awesome podcast. And instead I just sat there like a weirdo, just sort of staring. So, and then my husband came out and I came back and I told him, and he's like, why didn't you say anything? I'm like, have you met me? I can't do that. I can't talk to people. I can talk to you on a camera. I'm very awkward in person. So there was that. So then this past October, a local yarn shop was having like a bus trip. So oddly enough, my mother wanted to go, and I figured let's just go. And I saw Miss Amy Florence of the Stranded podcast, and I was like, and I walked by her. I was like, no, I'm gonna be an adult and I'm gonna say hello to another person. And I feel really bad. I hope. I feel really bad. I think I walked up to her and I was like, oh my God, hi, I really like your podcast. I don't want to bother you. I just wanted to say hi. And I sort of left it at that. And she just, it was just a weird interaction. And I walked away and I was like, this is why you don't talk to people. It's so silly. But I'm trying to get better at that. So I'm working on it. But I don't know where I was going with this, but just know that I'm so happy to talk to you again. And if you would like to come back, I'm going to try and do this fairly regularly. I'm thinking, at least every other week. I don't know if I'll have enough going on to really show you something every week, but I realized when I was going through my stash, I have prizes that I bought for the podcast years ago, and they're still pretty good prizes. And at this point, some of the things are probably not being made anymore, so that's kind of a good prize. But yeah, so just I don't know, it's just so good to talk to you again, and I hope it was good for you too. And that's about it for the rambling lady in the little house. So thanks so much for stopping by, and happy knitting.